So if you have a connection problem or issues with technology, please contact him through the chat feature. Just want to remind everybody, mute your microphone if you're not speaking, have your participant and chat windows open. Use the raise hand feature if you like to contribute to discussion, and all votes are going to be via roll call. Further reminder, all motions include predetermined movers and seconders to assist with the logistics of this virtual meeting, and I'll ask you to confirm those intentions as we deal with each agenda item. Also note, most of the agenda items are reports just for information today. And finally, I will note today's meeting is being recorded and for the first time will be live streamed on the Upper Thames YouTube channel as part of our requirement to allow public viewing of proceedings. And I'll have our traditional territorial greeting. We'll begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Pawnee peoples, who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nation communities of this area include Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation at Moraviantown. In the region, there are 11 First Nation communities and a growing Indigenous urban population. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island. Michelle, any regrets?
No, I haven't received any.
Okay. Could you please call the roll so we can post attendance?
Yes. Marie Blosh.
Present.
Alan Dale.
Present.
Don Edmiston.
Present.
Anna Hopkins.
Here.
Tony Jackson.
I just noticed we must have lost Tony because I didn't realize we had lost him, but I just saw him in the waiting room. So I'm just in the process of letting him in. It says joining. He should be arriving any second.
Okay, I'll come back to Tony at the end. Sandy Levin.
Here.
Nancy Manning. Still no Nancy. Hugh McDermott.
Here.
Paul Mitchell.
Here.
Anna Marie Murray.
Here.
Brian Petrie.
Here.
Jim Reffel.
Here.
Joe Salter.
Here.
Mark Schadenberg.
Here.
Alex Westman.
Here.
Tony Jackson.
I'm back.
Woo.
All righty. First item is approval of the agenda. Can I ask Marie to move it and Hugh to second?
Yeah, so moved. Marie.
So seconded.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none. Michelle, can you call the roll on approval of the agenda, please?
Marie Blosh.
Yes.
Alan Dale.
Yes.
Don Edmiston.
Yes.
Anna Hopkins.
Yes.
Tony Jackson.
Yes.
Sandy Levin.
Yes.
Hugh McDermott.
Yes.
Paul Mitchell.
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray.
Yes.
Brian Petrie.
Yes.
Jim Reffel.
Yes.
Joe Salter.
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg.
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest? Seeing and hearing none. Minutes of the previous meetings. We have two meetings to approve. First, the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Directors dated November 17th, 2020, as posted on the members' website. Can I ask Paul to move it and Anna Marie to second?
So moved.
So seconded.
Thank you. Are there any errors on the minutes that need to be corrected? Seeing no hands, Michelle, please call the roll.
Marie Blosh.
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Nancy's not here. Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll need a motion that we approve the Board of Director minutes dated November 24th, 2020, including any closed session minutes as posted on the members' website. Brian, will you move that? And Jim, will you second, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
I second. Are there any errors on the agenda that need to be corrected? Or sorry, on the minutes? Seeing and hearing none. Michelle, please call the roll to approve the minutes.
Marie Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 4 is business arising from the minutes. There's no business arising. Number 5, delegations, none scheduled. Number 6, business for approval. There is no business for approval this month. So we're on to item 7, business for information, section 28 status report. Joe, could you move that and Mark second it?
I'll move that. I'll second the motion.
And Tracy and staff are available if there are questions. Seeing no hand. Oops, sorry, Tony, please. Need you to unmute.
Sorry, that's much better. On the report, I see that there's a bridge replacement in the city of Stratford along the north shore of the Avon River. And I guess my question would be, how do we define what's major and minor, just for clarification? I go by the site almost every morning, and it is quite an operation there going on to replace the bridge. Just wonder how you define that versus a culvert replacement, for example, wouldn't be much more intrusive. So I guess if I could just have some definition on that, that would be good.
Thank you. Tracy?
Sure. Thank you for the question through the chair. We do have definitions that are defined in our fee schedule that are derived from our service delivery standards. So those are kind of our guidance documents, and often it comes down to, you know, the bridge replacement. Is it a brand new structure, or is it improvements to an existing structure as well? So there's kind of all of those factors that weigh into that determination. But certainly Jessica's been more involved with that project, and I know she's on the line. So if there's anything else that she wants to add through actual review of the permit that made that determination, I'll let her answer the question and provide more input.
Jessica, anything to add?
Through the chair. So this bridge is a walking bridge. It's not a full road bridge. And so based on our fee schedule, we made the determination that it was a minor works, not a major works.
Tony?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Has anybody from staff been to the site since the construction started?
Through the chair. So I was at the site for the pre-construction meeting, but no, I have not been at the site during construction. We do have staff nearby on a related project, but no, we haven't.
Tony, are you suggesting staff visit?
I would think it would be worthwhile just having a look to see in comparison to make sure it does meet our definitions. Probably it does, but it would be good on this site. I just noticed that it seemed to be quite an excavation around the banks and new cribbing, I guess you would call it, under the bridge as well. And it's just a little bit of an offshoot from the main Lake Victoria, I guess you could call it. But anyway, not that there's necessarily an issue. I just noticed it. I take that walking trail quite often. So anyway, it would be good to have maybe staff just run by there once and make sure it does fit the definition. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Marie? I saw a hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it down. Actually, it's kind of a general question since we've been thinking about municipal drains an awful lot lately. And I understand the classification system has to do with the flows and everything. But I was just kind of wondering if they could get a little background info on how, when that's set up and who determines the classification, if that's provincial or what role the Upper Thames plays in that, if any.
Marie, you're talking about Class F, Class C, et cetera?
Right. Just wondering how those are established and by whom.
Sure. Thank you for the question again, Marie. And through the chair, the classification that you're referring to is actually a Department of Fisheries and Oceans drain classification for fisheries habitat. So again, it's with that lens, what fish are able to be supported in those water courses. So, there are maps that are produced on an annual basis that we receive, and we do provide feedback to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans about that. Even Chris Harrington maybe could weigh in because some of his staff have been involved in some of those updates through our GIS system and providing that back to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans based on our research.
Does that help, Marie?
Yeah, I just wanted a general idea. I mean, I looked up the classifications, but I was just wondering, how they were set. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. So we've had the report moved and seconded. Michelle, could you call the roll on receiving the report as presented?
Marie Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Nancy Manning. Oh, Nancy's not here. Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.2, Piddock Reservoir Incident, Ice Condition Messaging, River Safety Education. Ask that Alex move and Marie second that the Board of Directors receive the report as presented, please.
So moved, Alex.
Seconded, Marie.
Thank you. Jennifer, I believe you wanted an opportunity to speak to this.
No, I think this one's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions for Jennifer? I want to thank Mark for letting us know about the incident at Piddock and the safe rescue that took place. Seeing no further questions. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Sorry, I was still marking my hand thing on the screen as well. I guess my best question is more of a maybe there's no answer to this question. For example, in Woodstock, there's kids skating on Brick Pond wetlands as of yesterday, and they look like they're having lots of fun out there. And I'm sure the ice is probably thick enough for them to do so. But then you go into Southside Park and you see there's all open water in the Cedar Creek Pond in Southside Park. It's mostly completely open at this point because obviously there's a river and a current. But at what point in time is there, and I guess we're talking about liability later in this agenda too, what point in time is there any liability whatsoever to sort of say, skate at your own risk or do anything at your own risk on this water, let alone put a snowmobile or something as a motorized vehicle on top of the water, whether it be a river or a lake for that matter. There's got to be some sort of liability edge. You can't put 50 signs all the way around the pond too that say skate at your own risk, can you?
Who would like to tackle that?
I'll give it a try if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we are actually looking at a bigger picture. Our message all along has been, with respect to our reservoirs anyway, that they're unsafe. We don't check the ice thickness, that sort of thing. It is use at your own risk. But we are looking at some of the other properties as well that offer ponds, and maybe Alex can talk to the rural conservation areas. But yeah, there is some liability there, I think, but that's a good insurer question, I think.
Mark?
No, that's just fine. I mean, I think it's noteworthy to just sort of make it known that it is obviously at your own risk, and you would hope adults being adults would know better to go into, as I say, Southside Park is completely wide open. The pond, you would know it would be silly to go on there right now. But some of these other places might be a little bit dicey. But obviously, Brick Pond Wetlands is safe for skating right now.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other hands? Seeing none, Michelle, could you call the roll that we receive the report as presented?
Murray Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.3, Fanshawe Conservation Area Cottage Program, Landlord Tenant Board Appeal. Could I ask Ellen to move it and Don to second it? We receive the report as presented.
Alan, yes, I'll move that we receive the report.
Seconded.
Thank you, Don. Jennifer and Grant are here if there are questions. Scrolling through, I don't see any hands. So Michelle, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Murray Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray, Anna Marie,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.4, additional capital funds for conservation area hydro infrastructure improvements. The motion is to receive the report as presented. Jennifer is here for questions, but it's not a debate item. It's an add to the draft budget and therefore a heads up for next meeting. Can I ask Anna to move the report and Tony to second?
I so move.
Seconded by Tony.
Thank you. questions on the report?
Sandy, if I could just maybe give a little bit of background to this first, if that's okay.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you, Jennifer.
Sure. Just so you maybe understand the method to my madness, a lot of this has kind of transpired in the last little bit since the report has written, but just some background. So when the draft budget was created, we were addressing it from the capital perspective. We were allocating dollars towards fixing the ESA order or the extension cord issue that for seasonal camping. And that was to about 75,000 we'd asked for. Looking into that further, it just did not make sense when our infrastructure is in such dire need of attention to literally rip up the wires and move the posts for the campsites without actually addressing the bigger problem from the park's perspective, and that's the infrastructure itself. So 1530 amp versus 50 amp. So we got looking at it further and recognized that yes, it's going to be a costly venture. We did have estimates provided to us when we had the study done by PowerCore, and they gave us some estimates laying it out. Since writing this report, I've had an opportunity to sit with Christine a little bit and work through some spreadsheets that help us better understand the longer term effect and impact. But yeah, it just didn't make sense just to go and move posts and not address the infrastructure when we have the opportunity to recoup some of those costs. And yeah, so I just felt it was necessary to bring it forward since you would see it in the February budget.
Thank you, Jennifer. Questions on the report? Anna, please go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the update. It's always appreciated as to why we're changing the initial request. And I know this is going to go into the budget, so it's not up for debate, but I am curious to know, are we just looking at Fanshaw's campsite, or are we going to be as well looking at all the campsites? I just want a better understanding what we're talking about here when it comes to these funds.
Jennifer?
Yeah, we are, we're talking all three conservation areas. They're all in dire needs. We would probably focus on Fanshawe as it has the most 15 amp service sites. Those are the ones that sit empty from a seasonal camping perspective. They, people want to camp, but when they find out it's only 15 amp service, they choose not to. So we're going to focus on the oldest infrastructure first. We've kind of set out some criteria for areas that we would select, but most of it does start at Fanshawe just because of the age of the infrastructure.
Anna? I guess you're okay.
Yeah, so this funding is going to be specific just to Fanshawe, or is it going to be for all three CAs? I wasn't very clear.
Yeah, so I would like to start at Fanshawe. Of course, we're going to be looking for someone with more expertise when it comes to these larger projects to direct us, but I definitely think that Fanshawe will be the recipient of these dollars for sure.
Thanks.
Okay, Anna. Okay, Mark.
I was just noticing in the report that I guess through Jennifer as well that in the report it notes that the ESA people can come by and do inspections on a biannual basis, and I think that's very, very important part of it, because I'll give you a quick example. Again, in Southside Park on Woodstock, they actually decommissioned a lot of the Christmas decorations they had this year because they were literally connected one to the other almost with extension cords. So not only were they getting people stealing the extension cords, but they were also realized they were no longer compliant with the type of hookup to these decorations. So they really had to decommission a whole bunch of them this past year. And I think it's Electrical Safety Authority is certainly doing their due diligence by doing this, and it's going to cost us money. It's more of a statement than a question.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Yeah, for some reason I don't have the button for the electronic hand up. So anyway, my question to Jennifer through the chair is the priority is the 15 amp ones in Fanshawe. In total, long term, how many of these campsites do we have, and how many of them would need upgrading from 15 to 50 amp?
Jennifer?
Thanks, Paul, for giving me a heads up to that question. I appreciate that. So our conservation areas have a total of 985 electrical campsites. Of those 985, 832 are seasonal campsites. So those are the ones we'd focus on first, because that would address the ESA issues. As for 15 amp, I'm just doing a quick 142 at Fanshawe, 27 and 1. So 175, something like that. Those are the 15 amp.
So we're looking at this is 150,000 to get started, but it's kind of the tip of the iceberg here as far as long-term upgrades.
Right. I think what we would look at this year is we would see what the, if we're able to do an area at Fanshawe, what we could get for that 150. In my report, I did talk about 27 sites. I think we can get a lot more done for that based on the estimates and the spreadsheet that I was working on with Christine. So yeah, I think this year would kind of be the test, and it would give us an idea what we're looking for long term. By no means am I looking for a 20-year commitment for $150,000 at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any other speakers on the report?
Yeah, Tony with a hand up, Sandy.
Thank you, Tony. I see your hand now. Tony, then Jim.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Just to confirm, in the report, it suggests that the funding for this would come out of the reserves from the campgrounds. I just want to confirm that, in fact, there would be no municipal levy dollars applied to the upgrades. Thank you.
Christine, did you want to answer that, or do you want Jennifer?
I can answer that. There will
Thank
be
you,
no
Christine.
there'll be no municipal dollars. I can reassure you of that.
Thank you.
Jim?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So Jennifer, the intent is to eliminate the use of extension cords in these campsites, and also I'm upgrading to 50 amp. I'm assuming 50 amp is sufficient for a lot of these campers that have air conditioning and other electrical fixtures. But will you be moving the actual hookup fixture for these campers enough so that they don't use an extension cord and sort of get back to the same issue that ESA might have? Or how does that work?
Yes. So the plan was when we met with Power Corps to do the study, we laid out exactly where the posts had to be based on the Electrical Safety Authority direction. And so yes, we'd have new pedestals for each campsite in the area that would eliminate the use of extension cords.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ian?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And Jennifer, I think, explained things well, but just to really be clear, the movement of the posts is an order from the Electrical Safety Authority. So we don't feel like we have, that's not optional. The decision to request extra money is to, if we're digging up the posts and trenching the wires anyway, why wouldn't we replace the wiring and the amp service at the same time? So rather than digging the hole twice, we're trying to save money in capital costs. But this is very much a business decision. So the question about, are we doing all 175 or whatever it is services at the 3 parks over the next several years, that's a business decision. And Jennifer's comment that we're doing this one step at a time, we need to see return on that investment, because currently these sites are not being utilized. There is very little revenue that comes in from them. So the expectation is by doing these upgrades, there's enough demand that these sites will be filled, new revenue comes in, and very much the decision going forward year by year to continue the investment will be based on our financial performance and whether or not we've seen return on that investment. So just want to be clear, where staff aren't wishy-washy on this. We're just trying to be professional and responsible, that we need to see, as Jennifer said, the performance year over year to justify any further investment. So 2 different rationales for what seems to be the same project. One is a requirement by the Electrical Safety Authority. It's an order. The other one is very much a business decision. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Any further questions from the board? Seeing none, we have a motion, a mover and a second. Oops, sorry, Paul, I missed you. Or Paul? Nope. Okay.
No.
Sorry, must have been an old one. So Michelle, could you call the roll on receiving the report as presented on the additional capital funds for conservation hydro and infrastructure improvements?
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell? Paul?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Ruffle?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Scheidenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.5, Conservation Authorities Act Update, Bill 229. Can I get Anna to move it and you to second, please?
Yes, I so move.
I second.
Thank you. This is a report. Ian, Tracy are here if there are questions. I don't know if, Ian, you wanted to speak to this at all?
Through you, Sandy, I'll just provide a quick report on the provincial working group, which I mentioned that was kind of at the very tail end of this very long report. That group of largely Conservation Authority general managers, they met for the first time on the 20th. So that would have been last week. So we were, of course, wondering what the update would be, but the committee has the equivalent of non-disclosure agreement. All the discussions are confidential at this point. So we're not privy to progress, but the general comment was made that the first meeting seemed to be productive. So I'm unclear. It's unlikely we'll get much in the way of reports from that committee until they're nearly done and ready to present recommendations. So just trying to manage expectations around that issue. But otherwise, I think Tracy and I are happy to answer any other questions at this point.
Thank you. Board, any questions? Anna?
Thank you. And I just want to thank Ian for the report. I think it's of great interest to all of us as we move forward with the changes to CAs. And I do really appreciate seeing the support for CAs as well in this report. I'm also pleased to see that AMO is going to be part of the group moving forward, in particular, Kathy Brown, who I know and AMO has represents about 444 municipalities. So that's something that I was pleased to see. I am curious to know with the working group that is being set up, how the public consultation is going to look like. It may be kind of premature for me to ask that question, but I know there's this expectation that this working group is going to be starting up now and having a better understanding how that public consultation is going to look like. Do we know anything at the moment?
Ian?
Through the chair, and Tracy, I'll look to you to back me up, but my understanding at this point, well, sorry, I have to throw a snipe in. There's been no public consultation up to this point, which has been a huge frustration. And I think, you know, Bill 229 was the omnibus budget bill, so it was not subject to any public consultation. So in fact, the list of public input that I've included in the report was really despite the fact there was no public consultation. Going forward, it's our understanding, and I'll look to Tracy to confirm, that the working group will come up with recommendations, but I believe the process will just be through the environmental registry. That's kind of, we've been told, we were told to expect some draft regulations to be posted before Christmas, but then I think the province changed course and decided to use this working group as a means of creating those regulations, but I'm not aware of any other public input process. So Tracy, you might be more in tune than I am.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll just echo Ian's comments, because yes, it is our understanding that this working group is to provide recommendations on regulations, and then the requirement for those regulations to be posted on the EBR. So until that time, until the regulations come out, there isn't anticipated to be an avenue for the public to be providing comments. So we await for those postings.
Anna, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just to make a comment. So I would assume it's going to take a while for regulations to be put in place, and then the public consultation will take place on the registry, environmental registry. I just not sure how engaged this public consultation will be. I think it's been a big missing part to how we move forward and how we make changes. So it's something that is on top of my mind, how that's all going to work. And I know when, I've been asked what's going on, they're in the public and where they can go, there is that missing gap. So I know that's not really for us to make a decision here, but that is very much on top of my mind, how that's going to work. And really, I guess we'll find out as regulations are put in place, and how we move forward, I guess, is going to be something that we should all be interested in. So thank you.
Yeah, Anna, maybe through your colleagues at AMO, because AMO has a seat at the working group, they can make a strong argument for wider input.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. And through the chair, you're right, Anna. The public input is a question, and you know, I will fully admit to everyone that I have a very biased point of view of this whole exercise. And while the environmental registry, it is the formal mechanism for public input, in my mind, it's the minimum that's required. And, you know, is it meaningful? Does it fully engage? I would hope there's engagement beyond that. But tied into that, and to your point, Anna, the timeline we've been given for implementation of Bill 229, including the budget side, which is the levying powers of conservation authorities, the province has still said their expectation is this is The regulations will be passed, the systems will be developed, and it'll all be in place for the 2022 budget year. And, you know, as this process unfolds, I'm finding it highly unrealistic that regulations could be developed, refined, posted to the EBR for a minimum, or the Environmental Registry for a minimum of 30 days. Presumably there'd be a redrafting, and then it's in place in time for municipalities and conservation authorities to develop their 2022 budgets. Because, you know, in some cases, well, in our authority, we really start the budget process in June. So it's all tied together, and I just flagged that. I think the implementation schedule, which is supposed to be one of the products of the working group, I think the expectations of the province are a bit unrealistic right now, but that doesn't mean they won't try and push it ahead anyway. So, but I'm just flagging that for you for next year's budget. Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I was a bit disappointed to hear that this working group is an advisory body as has to fall under a non-disclosure agreement scenario. And is this something that's, I'm not sure what the criteria is for when these types of bodies have to compelled to go through this non-disclosure agreement. But I mean, I've sat on working groups before looking at regulatory changes, and it's been very open, at least in terms of, going back in between meetings to go back and talk to your colleagues and say, well, here's some areas that we've been talking about. And, do you have any feedback before I go back to the table, things I'm not thinking about or things that we might want to bring back? And to me, it almost stifles, this sort of consultation. It's not a broader public consultation at this point, but it seems to stifle the way things are done. Is this something that's new under this government, or is there a standard that I missed along the way that maybe committees that are reporting back to cabinet, they have this non-disclosure agreement as a priority, or maybe somebody can answer that question.
Is there someone from staff or anybody want to take that on, or just?
Yeah, maybe I'm just venting.
Sandy, I can start. I confess, as staff, I was surprised. I think we were surprised that this is a confidential process for now. I'm not sure how long. My assumption is until they have draft regulations. But as far as criteria, Jim, or standards, I'd have to look to Tracy or even Grant. This seems unusual in my experience, but my experience is somewhat limited in provincial regulation drafting. So yeah, frustrated as well.
I feel your pain.
Tracy, anything to add?
No, again, it just hasn't been our experience in the past. So again, if Grant has anything to add, but we've had other amendments to regulations to the Section 28, and those have been very much a open process, open circulation in advance, and this working group is a little bit unique as well, though. So,
okay, seeing no other questions, Michelle, can you call the roll on receiving the report on the Conservation Authorities Act update, Bill 229?
Maria Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.6, Ontario Flood Strategy Summary. Paul, could you move it, and Anna Marie second that we receive the report as presented?
So moved.
So seconded.
Thank you. Questions from the board on the report? Seeing none. Michelle, could you call the roll? Oops, sorry,
Yeah,
Brian.
Brian, yep, sorry.
Yep.
I was just going to say that there's lots of things to agree with in the report. I hope the government follows through with more funding to help implement that and work through those recommendations.
Thank you. Anna?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment as well, and it is about that funding. Obviously, we're not really sure how that funding is going to look like right now, but I'm really pleased to see that the CA's role is included here in this strategy and the importance of CAs moving forward, and that alignment, all that is good to see. But again, how that funding is going to work, to me, is still to be determined.
Thank you. Board? Seeing no further hands, Michelle, could you call the roll on the receipt of the report?
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.7, 2021 draft budget, municipal feedback to date. Brian, could you move it? And Jim, second, that we receive the report as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Just to start off, I want to speak to the request from the mayor of St. Mary's. It's regarding an email, actually, that was sent to all board members, actually, on September 19th, 2019. It was in response to a letter that was sent regarding the operation of Wildwood Dam in relation to the town of St. Mary's and a property in St. Mary's. Letter will go out from the authority in response to the mayor's comments at the budget session, but the main issue in that mayor's email will be addressed in an upcoming meeting that Ian's going to talk about. Ian?
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, just to disclose to the board that I received a letter from the Minister Yurek, Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, indicating that his staff would try and arrange a meeting between the town of St. Mary's and ourselves to discuss the town's, what I will call concerns around our operation of Wildwood Dam, but very much this relates to the golf course complaints over the past few years. So on one hand, you know, to be blunt, I was surprised that the minister would involve themselves in very operational, very detailed issue. But on the other hand, I think perhaps this exercise will put this to bed one way or the other, and it won't go on for another 40 years. So the letter was just disclosing that they'd be in touch, and I've heard nothing since, but I assume there will be a number of meetings to get some background and share points of view. But I'll be certain to express that, you know, flood control continues to be, in the province's eyes, a core piece of business. Our operation of the structure follows provincially approved guidelines and has been incredibly effective for the town of St. Mary's. So the board will be kept updated as that process unfolds. I'll leave it there, Sandy.
Ian, did you want to talk to the rest of the report before I go to the board?
Sure. I guess the only thing as far as our draft budget, which was very little of the feedback I got from municipalities, there seems to be little concern or little in the way of comments about our draft budget. I have no pending presentations or requests from any other municipalities, and unless you as as representatives have heard directly from the municipality, I'm assuming the draft budget seems acceptable to this point. So I'll leave it there, Sandy.
All righty. Joe?
Yes. This appears to be sort of the same rants. Was there actually changes in operation at Wildwood, or was that all climate driven?
I don't know. Ian, Chris, which one of you would like to respond?
Yeah, I will start very briefly. So certainly our discussions with the golf course over the years, we have, and Chris can correct me, we've changed operations slightly. There's no change to the guidelines or the thresholds, but for example, if there's been a runoff event and we've withheld water at Wildwood, in the past, we would have released that water, I'll say, more slowly over a longer period of time to not cause erosion concerns or that downstream. For the golf course's operation, any increase above base flow seems to cause them operating problems. So the discussion was, can you just release it faster over a shorter period of time so we can get back to golfing? And we have, where possible, tried to accommodate. So it still fits within our operating guidelines, but it's just a little nuance in our discharge. So that's what I was referring to. And I'll look to Chris Tasker to either contradict me or embellish on that. That's my understanding. Chris?
No, I think that was a pretty good synopsis that Ian provided. The only thing that I would point out is that we're talking about a few CMS. A couple CMS change in flow is enough to cause issues at the golf course, and that is problematic and very difficult to try and operate a reservoir within those tight tolerances, and we would expect to have to exceed those from time to time.
Thank you, Joe. Anything else?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, Tony?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. With regards to the draft budget, I don't think the assumption should be that all municipalities have no comments or have no concerns for the draft budget. I can tell you that municipalities are very concerned about the collection of taxes after a year with people being unemployed and barely being able to make their mortgage payments. In fact, having deferred mortgage and vehicle payments over the last year. There's certainly some concern there as to how any increase can be justified on our general levy. So anyway, I'll leave that comment there, but certainly would be nice to see a draft budget scenario included with a zero increase on the general levy. Capital, I think everything's pretty good there, and I haven't heard any comments about capital, but any increase at all at this time with a complete year of COVID behind us and looking like another year to follow, certainly has some concerns for the revenue and operations of municipalities and personal households. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Ian?
Just to Tony's point and fair comment, my note that we don't seem to be hearing concerns is because we haven't received any other formal feedback. There's been no letters from councils, no emails, no invitations to attend council. So, you know, it would be my position that the board, it would be those direct pieces of correspondence that you should accept as your input. Tony's point about municipal financial positions, you know, through the papers, certainly I'm aware of those types of concerns for some municipalities. But on the other side, I've also heard from municipal finance staff, some of them have expressed a little bit of embarrassment that the senior government support in 2020, whether it was through transit or whatever it might have been, has led to a surplus of funds sitting in their accounts moving into 2021. Now, maybe it's just a delayed response, and that revenue will be needed to get through 2021 if user fees still are lower than normal. But there seems to be some, it depends on the municipality and the circumstances of the municipality. But again, I would encourage you, each of you as representatives, and Tony especially, given our past experience, to, if municipalities have concerns or a comment, we would appreciate that to be formally communicated so that you as the board can have information to make the best decision possible at the February annual meeting around the budget. So if I can please encourage you to reach out to your municipalities and just double check. If they have comments, please submit those sooner than later. Okay, thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Before I go to Brian, my recollection is, and Anna can help me with this, the City of London has passed their 2021 budget already. Is that correct, Anna?
Yes, that's right. And we do have, I think we were able to decrease it by a slight amount.
But the Upper Thames levy was approved.
It was approved, yeah. There was really no concerns, no debate. And I appreciate what Ian said about some municipalities. We have been able to get funding from the provincial government and also from the federal government, in particular around transit. As the City of London, we're still in a deficit, but there are a number of municipalities out there that have extra money as well. So I think that's a fair point, how we balance everything out. And not every municipality is in the same situation. And I know we've moved forward. I think it was about a month ago that we passed our budget. And I think it's fair to say it's an unusual times that we're dealing with. And I really do appreciate the report coming back. I think it's all about the feedback that we need to get from municipalities. And I know we haven't received it today, but there aren't any concerns, I think, from the City of London when it comes to the authority's budget.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have circulated the budget to my town council as well as the staff there. I didn't hear anything back from them besides I didn't hear anything back from them. I know that Oxford County has passed their budget, and I didn't hear anything from their representatives. So I'm assuming that they are of the understanding that they're receiving good value for their money.
Okay, thank you. I've got one question. I don't see any other hands from the board. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but Ian or Christine, even if our operating budget had no change year over year, some of our municipalities would see a change up or down because of assessment changes. Is that correct?
Yes, Sandy, that's correct because of that provincial funding formula.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Seeing none. Michelle, could you call the roll to receive the report on the 2021 draft budget municipal feedback to date?
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
And Alex Westman?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Item 7.8, annual meeting details. Ian, you have a verbal update for us.
Yes, thank you, Sandy, and through the chair. The plan for the annual meeting next month will have to be confirmed by whoever the chair is. But at this point, just so you know, staff are recommending a slight change to the annual meeting. You know, in the past, this is the one meeting in the year where we invite all the staff and we invite you, we entice both of you through food to intermingle a little bit, and we have displays set up to try and share some of the good work and the projects that the authority's involved in. And that has worked very well, but of course through a Zoom format, that interaction is much more difficult to encourage. So it'll be my recommendation that for this 1 year, the annual meeting just goes back to a regular business meeting. We'll do it through Zoom just like we are now. I don't anticipate staff, other than those that are required to speak to reports. Staff won't be on the meeting otherwise, unless they want to watch the live stream. So it would be regular business, and yet we'll still do some of the things we do at the annual meeting. Service awards are one activity we always do where staff are recognized. Again, we can't do that so well, but we'll certainly have a report that recognizes years of service. The budget obviously needs to be passed at the annual meeting, so I expect that to be a big discussion. In the past, we've had conservation awards as well, if you recall, past years, families. This year, we're not, we won't be issuing any conservation awards, but we are having a special presentation recognizing a past board member who has since passed away, and that's Dr. Doug Bocking, who represented London for many, many years and was instrumental in our Heritage Rivers designation. So we'll still try and do some things appropriate for an annual meeting, but for the most part, it will be more of a regular business meeting, so you can anticipate some standard reports coming forward. I'll also say the reminder that this meeting is, shoot, I forgot to write it down. It's Thursday, February, I'm looking at Michelle, 16th or 18th? 18th, she's nodding, I think. So it is not a Tuesday. So that's just a reminder. And I think that's to avoid the conflict we always have with the Good Roads Conference. So it's a shorter interval between meetings for February, but that's, again, I'll confirm all this with our chair, but that's the expectation from staff. So I'll leave it there, Sandy, unless there's questions.
Any questions from the board? I don't think we need a motion to accept that report. So we'll move on to item 8, the 2021 elections. And as the board knows, I'm not standing for chair or vice chair, but we'll be asking for a nomination for hearings as past chair I get to be on. Hopefully as well on finance and audit. Want to say it's been a wild ride for the last year in so many ways. I do appreciate the support and compliments and advice and critiques that I've received during my time as chair, but happy to vacate it and ask for a motion to have Grant serve as interim chair for the purpose of conducting elections. Can I get a motion, please?
I make that motion.
Yep. Okay, moved by Anna, seconded by Marie. Michelle, could you call the roll?
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Raffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Grant, you're in the chair.
Good morning, and thank you. The only benefit of Zoom is that none of us have to leave our homes this morning. I am going to, in accordance with the Conservation Authorities Act and our MIN bylaw, seek nominations for the acting chair, the vice chair, and the other positions. So in order to do that, I will call for nominations for the chair 3 times. I will require a mover to open that. I'm then going to request a motion to close nominations, and in that I'll need a mover and a seconder, and Michelle will call the roll. And then I'll inquire whether the nominees are willing to accept their nomination. If there is only one nominee, that individual shall be declared into the position by acclamation. If there is more than one member nominated for the position of authority chair, then we're going to go into an electronic voting process that Michelle and Chris will run. So why don't I just get started by asking for somebody to move that nominations be opened?
Grant, we have one question. Sorry,
yes.
I see one hand up.
Sorry.
Sandy?
No. That's fine.
All right.
I'll move that we open the nominations.
Thank you. So this is the first call for nominations for the position of chair of the authority for next year.
I move Alan Dale.
Thank you. I'll ask a second time, are there any other nominations for the position of chair of the authority for next year? And you'll have to talk because I can't see all of you. I haven't heard anything. So I'll ask for the third time for nominations for the position of chair of the authority for next year. Again, I haven't heard anybody. So I'm going to request a motion to close nominations, and for that I need a mover and a seconder.
Brian Petrie, so moved.
Paul Mitchell, seconded.
Thank you. Alan or Mr. Dale, would you like to speak to your nomination at all?
No, but I will gladly let my name stand. Thank you.
Since only one individual has been nominated, then I declare that you are the chair of the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority for the following year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll now open nominations for the position of vice chair of the authority, and I will require a mover to open those nominations.
So moved. It's Sandy.
Sandy. I am going to, again, call for nominations for the position of vice chair of the authority 3 times. And I would start with one, the first time. Are there nominations?
I'll nominate Brian Petrie.
Thank you. I'll call the second time for nominations for the position of vice chair of the authority for next year. I'll call, having heard nothing, I'll call for the third time for nominations for the position of vice chair of the authority for next year. Having heard none, I will require a mover and a seconder to close nominations.
Moved by Don Edmiston.
Don?
Seconded by Anna Hopkins.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask Michelle to call the roll.
Murray Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Nancy Manning? Oh, she's not here. Sorry. Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
And Alex Westman?
Yes.
Now, I've screwed up here from the point of view that I don't believe, Michelle, that I asked you to call the roll for the confirmation of the chair. Is that correct?
Yes. Would you like me to call the roll now?
Please.
Murray Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Nancy Manning, it's not here, sorry, every time. Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Raffle,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
and Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Brian and Alan. Now, the next process is to elect the hearing committee. And the hearings committee is composed of the chair, the vice chair, the past authority chair, and 3 additional members.
Actually, 2.
2.
Just 2.
Just 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
because past chair makes the 3rd.
So I'm going to call for, ask for a mover to open nominations for those 2 positions.
Joe Salter, I'll move it.
Thank you.
Tony Jackson seconded.
Thank you. So I'll ask for nominations for the positions of the 2 hearing committee members we need to elect.
This is Hugh McDermott. I would nominate Tony Jackson for one of those positions.
Thank you.
And Sandy Levin will nominate Marie Blosch.
Thank you. I'll call a second time for nominations for the position of hearing committee members. Having heard no further nominations, I'll call a third time for those nominations for hearing committee members. Again, having heard none, I will ask for a mover and a seconder.
So
Anna Marie Murray, I'll second.
I'm sorry, who is the mover?
Sandy.
Sandy, okay, and Anna Marie, okay. Michelle, will you call a roll, please?
Yes, sorry. Marie Blosch.
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Raffle,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
and Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Tony and Marie. Now, the next one is the Finance and Audit Committee. And it says that it consists of the chair and 2 to 4 additional members. So will somebody move that nominations be opened?
So moved,
So
Brian.
moved.
Brian?
Seconded by Sandy.
So I'm asking for nominations for the positions on the Finance and Audit Committee members, and you can have 2 to 4.
As
I
Joe
nominate-
Salter, I'll nominate Jim Reffel.
I'm sorry, who did that?
Joe Salter, I'll nominate Jim Reffel.
Thank you.
Paul Mitchell nominates Brian Petrie.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sandy nominates Anna Marie Murray.
Thank you.
And it's Alan. I'd like to nominate Sandy.
Sandy Levin.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll ask a second time for nominations on the Finance and Audit Committee. Having heard none, I'll ask the third time for any further nominations for positions on your Finance and Audit Committee for next year. Having heard no further nominations, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to close nominations.
So moved, Tony Jackson.
I second Hugh McDermott.
Thank you. Michelle, will you call a roll, please?
Marie Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
and Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. I have Jim, Brian, Anna Marie, and Sandy. Now, the last one I have is the election of the Source Water Protection Committee Liaison Striking Committee. And that is one person, I believe. And I'll ask for nominations to be opened.
So moved by Sandy.
Seconded by Brian.
Thank you. I'm going to call for nominations for that position.
I move Joe Salter as to nominate him for this committee.
Thank you. Are there, the second time, are there any other nominations for the position of Source Water Protection Committee Liaison and Striking Committee member? Having heard none, I'll ask for the third time for any further nominations for this position. Having heard none, I've asked for a mover and a seconder to close nominations.
So I'll move that.
I'll
Alan?
second it, Sandy.
Sandy? Michelle, will you call a roll, please?
Marie Blosh,
Yes.
Alan Dale,
Yes.
Don Edmiston,
Yes.
Anna Hopkins,
Yes.
Tony Jackson,
Yes.
Sandy Levin,
Yes.
Hugh McDermott,
Yes.
Paul Mitchell,
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray,
Yes. Sorry.
Brian Petrie,
Yes.
Jim Reffel,
Yes.
Joe Salter,
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg,
Yes.
and Alex Westman.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's the end of my job. Brian, you're on.
All right. Thank
Alan's
you
on.
very much, Grant. Everyone hear me? Okay. Thank you very much, Grant. Appreciate you conducting the elections for us again this year. I do have just a few comments I'd like to make at this time. First of all, I'd like to thank Sandy for the nomination and members of the board for your support. And certainly congratulations to Brian and to all the other members who are have positions now on the Hearings Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee, and Joe for being on the Source Protection Striking Committee. So congratulations to all of you. Look forward to having you working with the board this year. I'd like to take a few minutes and thank our outgoing chair, Mr. Sandy Levin, and acknowledge his hard work and dedication to the board and the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority during the past 2 years. I doubt that Sandy or any of us could have predicted the future at our January meeting 2 years ago when he first became chair. Sandy has steered and guided the board during a very disruptive and uncertain period, but his steady influence and experience has served us well, and I look forward to continuing to work with him. And we are facing a very uncertain future on various fronts. And I have to admit that it fills me with a little bit of trepidation. But having said that, I am looking forward to working with the board and staff during the upcoming year. Now, we are going to need to work together and focus on our principles to protect people and their property from flooding and erosion, to improve water quality, to protect and expand natural areas, and to expand outdoor education and recreation opportunities. And I'm going to ask that we wear our watershed hat and take a watershed approach to doing this. So even though we represent different municipalities, that's going to mean thinking a little less about artificial lines on a map and thinking a little bit more about the Upper Thames and its tributaries and the intricate natural ecosystem throughout our watershed. Now, saying all of that, that would be a challenge in a normal year. But for us, this is going to be a tremendous challenge because of the recent changes to the Conservation Authorities Act that's going to try and take us in the exact opposite direction. Over the next year, we're going to be starting to sort out what our core programs are, what's optional, and we're going to be signing service agreements with each of our member municipalities and try to put together these packages of what services and what programs are going to be available in what municipalities. Let me just say in closing that I'm hopeful that there will be much more that unites us and little that divides us, and that together we will continue to inspire a healthy environment in the Upper Thames River watershed. Thank you. All right, so now we'll continue on with our business. Item number 9 is the January for-year information report that was included in your package. So I hope everyone's had the chance to read that. There's a couple of really good little updates there. Things that will remind us that spring is soon going to be around the corner. So some programs and events to look forward to as we head towards the spring and summer. If there's no questions or comments on that, I will then move ahead to item number 10. Other business. I don't know if I have no more comments this time. I don't know if Ian has any remarks he'd like to say at this time.
Yeah, if I can, through you, Mr. Chair, and I will echo your comments. I'll say congratulations, Alan and Brian, and the rest of the board for the shared leadership you continue to demonstrate. While the positions change, it's been rewarding to work with this group because I think everybody does pull their weight around issues and contributes, and that's very encouraging for staff. To Sandy, I want to say thank you very much. I think I've worked with 7 chairs in my time in this role, and they've all been supportive and all brought strengths. Sandy has certainly, in a good way, kept staff on their toes with his very strong experience in the environmental and advocacy field. And, it's been just a pleasure over the past 2 years, and I expect that to continue. As I said, it's been shared leadership, and that's a great strength. So the only thing I do have to offer is a public apology, because when Sandy assumed the role of chair, he did make a side comment to me that he was doing it as long as I didn't retire during his term. So I almost made it to the end.
Yeah, almost.
Almost. 2 other updates. A bit of sad news. Those of you who knew Albert Bannister, Albert was a past board member, past chair, past vice chair. Albert passed away just before Christmas. And, but he had served on our board of directors for a combined 21 years. First representing London Township and then representing Middlesex Centre. So Albert was great. I knew him very well. Staff knew him very well. Surprised or shocked, saddened at his passing. but the authority made a donation in his name, and we will be planting a tree in his memory in the Members Grove, which, as a reminder, if you're in when you're in our boardroom again and look out towards the lake, it's kind of the land between the building and the lake. So recognize Albert's passing. And then the third thing and final thing as an update is just around the pandemic and the organization's response. You know, the stay at home order that was issued, we did review our responsibilities, what's essential work, are we complying with provincial regulations, and we're comfortable we are. Our conservation areas remain open for passive public use. And I think if you remember back to the spring, the conservation areas are well used this time of year. Parking can be difficult at times, but we believe, you know, it's public land. This is part of the public service we offer to the community. We have a skeleton crew of Upper Thames staff at workplaces. It might be for snow removal or risk management, just those that are required. Everybody else is working from home. And we've been able to adapt, obviously, over the past year to make sure we continue to deliver the programs as well. So I'm comfortable that we're balancing the achievement of our organizational goals, protection of public, protection of staff, and compliance with the public health directions. So I think we're in a good place, but again, things change repeatedly, and we're anticipating the stay-at-home order to be lifted early to mid-February, and then we'll reassess again where we are at that time. So those are my remarks and my updates, and I'll turn it back to you, Alan.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Next item on the agenda, item number 11 is closed session. It's moved by Joe and seconded by Mark. Are you two willing to let your name stand that we go into closed session? Okay.
Yeah, I'll second
Mark?
the motion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, can you call the roll, please?
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel? Jim? Still here.
He is there. Looks like he's just
He's
trying
gonna
to.
unmute. I see a nod. Okay, Jim's nodding yes. Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion is carried. Thank you. And we are now in closed session.
Okay, so
Don't
we're
we
gonna
need
pause.
to close the live
Yep,
stream?
if you pause for
Yep.
just a second, I'll close the live stream, and those that aren't sticking around, I'll invite them to.
Motion that the board of directors receive the report that was presented. Moved by Don and seconded by Anna. Are you willing to let your name stand?
Moved by Don.
Seconded by Anna.
Okay, thank you. We're all set then. I will ask for Michelle to call the roll, please.
Marie Blosh?
Yes.
Alan Dale?
Yes.
Don Edmiston?
Yes.
Anna Hopkins?
Yes.
Tony Jackson?
Yes.
Sandy Levin?
Yes.
Hugh McDermott?
Yes.
Paul Mitchell?
Yes.
Anna Marie Murray?
Yes.
Brian Petrie?
Yes.
Jim Reffel?
Yes.
Joe Salter?
Yes.
Mark Schadenberg?
Yes.
Alex Westman?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is carried. We received that report. Thank you very much, everyone. And that concludes our business for today's meeting. The only item we have left is an item to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Tony. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time today. And again, congratulations to everyone who who let their name stand and is involved with the various committees for the upcoming year. And I believe the members of the hearing committee are going to stay on the line. Selection committee, yes, and we will talk about our next steps.
When do you want to have that meeting, Mr. Chair?
I was going to ask if we needed to have a bit of a break here, give people a chance to, we said that we were going to have it at the conclusion of the meeting, but I didn't know if how much of a break people needed.